Welcome to the Flourishing Workplace podcast. My name is Connie, and I am so thrilled to have Liz here all the way from my favorite place on the planet, New York City. Welcome, Liz.
Thank you, Connie. Great to be here. You're in my favorite place, by the way, in Calgary. So there you go.
It's interesting how you always admire somewhere else. I love the bustle of the city, and I love New York and the vibe there. But you know what? You're right. Our Rockies are pretty fantastic. I'm so happy to have you on the podcast today. You have such an interesting job, and that's what intrigued me about you. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah. So I lead a search consulting advisory firm, EBC Associates. And then I also have a networking group that ties into job searching as well as business owners looking to connect. So, yeah.
So you get to meet a lot of people, see a lot of workplaces, really see kind of where workplace is right now. I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what you've noticed about workplace in the last year and a half through COVID.
Yeah. And that's such a loaded question, Connie. And it's like, where do I start? But very relevant. So many dynamics and so many things happening. I had posted on, of course, this vaccine mandate is one topic. Of course, a hybrid workplace is another topic. So there's all these dynamics. I'm sure you probably read, and everyone's been talking about this, the Great Resignation, and that's happening, and how really the control or the shift in balance is with the employee more so. So a lot of things happening. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about this what did you call it?
It's an article, The Great Resignation, where it's happening amongst many industries, and with this hybrid flex work from home model. Of course, we've had for the past 18 months now. In many cases, employees have shown to be more productive, working from home. If they're mandated now to be back in the office, they don't necessarily want to go back. And so there's that dynamic with, should you go back, or can we work from home? And, sort of who is managing that conversation. So yeah, it's interesting to see how it's all unfolding.
Yes, such a different world. So many are choosing to stay home. They like that. I wonder, I've been so curious about what that means for workplace. Why do you think that is? Like, what are some of the reasons you notice with why people would want to stay home more now?
Yeah, less or no commute, I should say, commuting into your living room versus maybe a 2-hour commute. And of course, here in New York, a lot of long commutes, people that live in the suburbs. So healthier work-life balance, more time with your family, your kids, not having that commute time is one thing that's huge. More time for fitness, health and wellness, of course, is a lot of people focusing on that as the priority. So yeah, so those are some of the things. I think the commute is probably the biggest one.
And when you think about it, it actually is pretty amazing for us to be able to not commute long distances. I mean, what that does for the environment, it's better. The more I hear about hybrid work, the more I'm sold. I love it. I love the option. Are you seeing any tension in the whole going to the office hybrid? Do you hear anything about tension there?
People that are going back into the office. Yeah, there's yes, a lot of anxiety with people. And of course, now, Connie, as you know, we're hearing about this Delta variant, and okay, is it even for those that are vaccinated? I'm vaccinated, so there's that anxiety of like, okay, if we go back, and if people haven't been vaccinated, and the stress that comes with that, if that variant picks up, it's been sort of the top of the news these days. So a lot of anxiety, just emerging back into work life.
Mm,
So
yeah, that anxiety, it's so real. I'm wondering what employers can do around that, to help employees, because I feel like we're going to have to walk very gently with people in the next
yeah.
few years. And so, what do you see? What would you say to an employer that's having to manage employees with anxiety?
Yeah. So I've seen a real uptick, Connie, with bringing coaches in to help work with their employees, added health and wellness benefits to some standard benefits. That's definitely increased so that they're there to accommodate their employees. Everyone has handled this situation so differently, and you never know how somebody is dealing with it. So being very cautious. So coaches, coaching, health and wellness. Also a lot more of these team building um, workshops, if you will, team building around just bringing people together, whether it's back in the office or still a hybrid, situation. That's picked up. I think that will, excuse me, only continue. So those are a couple of things. Yeah.
I think those are great suggestions. There's nothing like just adding extra support. I love the coach idea. That's what we do with Flourishing Workplace. We go into workplaces and we surround them with tools and skills that are evidence-based so that they have some bottom hands for their executives and their employees. I think it's great. I love the idea of adding just health and wellness, just seeing how we can support people better. And actually, I was reading a Harvard Review article yesterday. I wish I could remember what the title was,
Yeah.
but maybe I'll put it in the show notes and I'll send it to you, Liz. But
Yes, please do.
it
Yeah.
was powerful about this whole idea of hybrid and belonging at work, and how do we create belonging when people aren't in an office. And they talked a little bit about hiring and diversity. And I really found it intriguing what they said, that we all want diversity in our workplaces. We want that. We value it. Doing it is harder than it sounds. I wonder if you found that.
Yes, that's a that's a great topic. So I'd love to see that article too, Connie, by the way, because I read some of their articles often, so I'd love to see that. So as far as that hybrid and going back to the office and being part of a team, I think there's many pluses, especially for somebody who's more junior in their career, when they can have that face time in the office to get that real learning and mentorship, from people if they're starting out. I think that's so key. It's also good to just have that synergy and that communication that you have in person. And I've been doing several in-person meetings lately, and it's great because you just forget how you really can understand the person, the business, rather than I tend to feel very robotic on these Zooms, as many people do. It's like, are you really out there? You kind of, so, and then of course, diversity, DEI is a big topic right now in hiring a lot of businesses. My 2 cents is it really has to come from the top, and really has to be integrated into senior managers, CEO, and then trickle down so that they can implement and bring in diversity to their hiring. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This Harvard Review article was very interesting that way. They talked about your hiring, and this is probably a lot of what you're seeing. They're talking about hiring people who are a great fit, and making sure that that group is diverse, but making that the centerpiece rather than let's just hire the token minority, the token woman, the token whatever, fill
right,
in the blank, you know.
right,
And I really liked that, because I think right now there's so many people just wanting to be so sensitive around this, and also they want inclusion in their workplace. But I really liked that hiring piece of, are they a fit? Do they
yes,
do they add to our our workplace? Do they add to the culture, but do they bring their own unique spin? I don't know. What are you seeing around that? Because you being in that realm.
Yes. So that's a great question. And I would say very accurate, your response on that, Connie, because it has to be the right fit, not just hiring that person because you want to check the box on, okay, we've hired X amount or X percentage, in diversity. So really making sure through that assessment, it's the right candidate that goes into the whole overall process of hiring. And yeah, good point. Yes.
I think it also allows for the employer to say, we don't want to have a ship here where there isn't a common anchor, there isn't a common vision and mission and cause. I'm hearing a lot in my interviews
Yeah.
about young people, and even me as a Gen Xer, we want to work for a cause. We want a mission. We want to move forward into something bigger than ourselves. Are you seeing anything around that as well?
200%. Yes. Last year and still this year actually is been such a reset for so many. So many people kind of taking a step back, wanting more purpose driven in their career, in their life, what they're doing, and really assessing that and saying, is this the type of company, is this the focus where I want to be? So that reset, purpose driven is a priority for so many people, and I think we'll continue in that direction. Yeah.
Yes. Well, Liz, you are such a wealth of knowledge. I think not only just from your education experience, but just from how you see so many different employees, so many different workplaces. What would be something that you would want every workplace to know? And I'm sure that there's lots, so it might be hard to narrow it down, but what's the one thing that you just notice all the time and you're like, I just want workplaces to know this?
Okay, that's also great question, Connie. So I think one of my differentiators and how I work and recruit and work with people, and really how this networking group has evolved and grown, is putting and keeping the humanity and the human element back in the process. There's so much technology, AI, robots that do a lot of the vetting, for these resumes. And certainly there's advantages to having that automation. However, sometimes it is a very flawed system. And I think putting the human element and back in who we're hiring, it's people, the person behind the resume. Your employees are your greatest advocates. So treat them as such, and just to keep that human element outside that piece of paper and what the credentials might say.
I love that. That is beautiful, and I really do believe that is where workplaces are going. And if a workplace isn't, they'll feel it. So it's an opportunity. I think that's beautiful. Well, Liz, you are a mover and a shaker. I appreciate you. If you're not following Liz on LinkedIn, you need to, because everything you put out there, I resonate with. I feel very connected. It's interesting. This is our first time meeting.
I know.
Yet I feel so connected to you as a person. And isn't that the beauty of what COVID has done for us?
Exactly, Connie, and likewise, and this is a beginning of a great collaboration with you and I, and thank you for that. I feel like just with LinkedIn for a minute here, you can really, there's so many people that have become really good friends and colleagues, and just by learning and reading about what they're sharing and how it resonates with you, and that's, I know, been accelerated with COVID because of course, everyone is on the platform. We haven't been able to go anywhere else. So it's amazing how much you can learn and understand about who the person is, aside from what their technical or their work role is. So yeah, I feel very much the same way.
Oh, that's wonderful, Liz. Well, thank you so much again for joining us today.